Hey everyone, my name's Leah Lauder and I'm a mega church cult survivor turned social justice activist. Now, I was in a cult for about 18 years. I started when I was a teenager back in the 2000s, and the church that I'm talking about, the cult leader's called HEWARD Mills, and the churches are First Love, Mustard Seed Chapel International, Pleasant Surprises. They also go by Christ Cathedral, and they were formerly known as Lighthouse Chapel International. Most cults, they change their name. It's like something that they do, because they're corrupt. But anyway, guys, I just want to give my story. I just want to talk about my journey from beginning to end. So I'm going to be doing this series on YouTube. I know I put out my intro video and then I kind of just left it, but there's been a lot going on. I'm healing. I'm healing from all the abuses that happened in this church cult space. I just want to say I started speaking out in January about the abuses that I experienced, mainly being like financial exploitation, emotional, psychological kind of control, and it's just a self-sealing system. So there's so much control. It's such a controlling environment. They control what you wear, where you go. So it's like you're psychologically trapped. They take over your mind. So I'm just going to take you guys back into time. When I first started the cult, I was extremely vulnerable. My boyfriend had just been unalived in police custody, and I was just a mess. I was going through like a psychotic episode, and I just want to quickly say I come from a background where my dad wasn't really around, so I was very vulnerable, and I kind of like replaced my boyfriend into that kind of like father figure role. Do you get what I'm trying to say, in a way? Because he was providing for me, he was looking after me, and I was just totally in love and besotted with him. So sometimes when people's partners unalive, they're split up or they're not together. We were very much together. Do you know what I mean? So I was absolutely broken. I had lost my mind at that point, and I think I was just looking for something, guys. I was just looking for just for my life to be changed. I wanted to change my life. I was also exposed to CCE, that's child criminal exploitation, as a child. And guys, I'm just going to keep this video raw, unfiltered and unedited, because I really want you guys to, feel all my raw emotions, because, this experience that I had is very unfiltered. Do you know what I mean? The way that they did us so dirty. We're supposed to be going to a church. We're supposed to have people in trusted positions. We're supposed to be these environments. We're putting our trust into these men and so-called women of God, and all they do when you come there is abuse you and use the information that you've given them to keep you trapped in the self-sealing system that they call the church. So anyway, I've come into the church now, guys. My boyfriend's just been unalived. I was just in a really crazy state. Anyway, I was walking past this church one day, and they were doing like this breakfast kind of outreach meeting, whatever. So they're all fake, with their smiles. They love bomb you, and they gaslight you in the beginning, right? So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is great. I've just lost my boyfriend. Do you get what I'm saying? Guys, it hadn't even been a month when I got outreach to, but basically recruited. So long story short, now I've gone to go and visit the church. I've gone inside because they've just met me on the street. Anyway, after that, guys, it was just love bombing. And I just lost my boyfriend. Do you know what I mean? And I'd kind of like separated myself from just everyone. Do you know what I mean? Because I was going nuts. I just wanted to be by myself, like in a dark room alone. Like, guys, I'd completely lost it. When I started coming to the church, I was all in black, because I felt like I was a widow. I was just messed up. At that point, as a teenager, I feel like these institutions should have worked with the mental health services, the support services that I had already had going on. I was living in a hostel at the time, that I had been put into by the local authority because of my high needs. And instead of them, because they don't have any understanding, there's a lack of understanding. They think they know best because these cult leaders esteem themselves as gods. So their doctrine is the ultimate truth. Also, in these church cults, they think that mental health is a demon. When I first started coming to this church, they told me that I had been demonically possessed by all the guys, from like when I had experience to gangs, because I'm also a CCE survivor, which is child criminal exploitation, having been exposed to gang culture from the age of about 14, 15 years old. So, guys, it was just a thing where they just started lying. They started lying to me about myself. They started brainwashing me to hate where I'd come from. Do you know what I mean? Because these church cults, if you come in looking homeless, Yeah, if you're not like the, you know, textbook kind of look, like looking like a doctor, like a civil, you know, like a citizen of the state, you know, it's like you get treated differently. Those people are sat to the back. They don't really do anything to really help the community. They don't really do anything to help change lives. And this is my problem. You guys are getting, some of these pastors are making in excess of over £100,000 every Sunday. And still, they don't do anything to help change the world. So in 2024, when we're exposing evil systems and structures, we don't want these structures anymore. We don't want religion. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, we don't want the fake. Like, we know that you lot are stealing our money. Do you know what I mean? It's absolute daylight robbery and not the Robin Hood type. So anyway, I'm diverting. Let me get back onto what happened. So catch the tea, you lot, yeah? So anyway, I've started coming now. As I've started coming, they're just perpetuating this narrative to me that mental health is demonic and that they can heal me. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because I needed to be healed. My boyfriend had just unalived. I heard him like unaliving on the phone as well. So it was extremely traumatic, guys. As soon as I stepped foot in that church cult, as soon as they could hear I could sing, because oh my gosh, guys, there's so much to this. But because they knew I could sing, that's when they started getting their claws into me. So just quickly, I sing, why should I feel discouraged? Like, it's about 7 a.m. in the morning when I'm recording this, so the throat is crusty and dry. But you get the point. As soon as I started singing, that's when they got their claws into me, because they need to use people that are useful. Do you understand? Like, if you have a use for the cult and you're going to help to grow this cult leader's empire, then they're going to get their claws into you and they're going to start grooming you. So anyway, around the same time as when I joined the cult, I also started applying for X Factor, because it was a thing where, you know, my boyfriend had just unalived. My mind was all over the place. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I'm thinking, okay, I've got to do something. I've got to make money, because now I'm homeless. I've got nowhere to go. Do you know what I mean? I need to make money. So I said, okay, I can sing. Let me apply for the X Factor. That's what happens in Leo's world. So anyway, around the same time as I'm on the X Factor, I'm attending this church cult. But the pastor who was there when I first started, he just didn't like me. Do you know what I mean? Because in these churches, they either like you or they don't. I wasn't one of his favorites. So I was still pursuing my music. But then at a certain point, a new pastor got transferred there. He was like quite youngish. His wife was also young. Like, they were both young. They were probably in their 30s at the time. And because in that cult, oh my gosh, the women pastors look a mess. They look an absolute mess in that church cult. I'm not even going to lie to you. The ones higher up in the echelons, like Bishop Dagwood Mill's wife, Lady Adelaide, she's a mess. And every archbishop, female, whatever, they're all a mess. So it was a thing where she came, she looked really like she used to wear heels. And I know this probably sounds like a minor, but in this church cult back in the day, it was very like fundamentalist, strict Christian setting. And then it's an elitist Ghanaian cult. So back in the day, there was a lot of Ghanaians. I had to learn how to speak a bit of Tree. I started to understand it, you lot, because they were just speaking in their language. So, you know, it was a big culture shock for me, but you want to fit in. You want to fit in these environments. And one of their main tactics that they use is the Thought Reform Program, where they're looking to change your behaviors, the way you act, the way you think, because they have to, you have to be socially conformed to the environment. Do you get what I'm saying? So in some cults like RPF, some church cults, they wear head ties. Do you know what I mean? And I don't have a problem with it. If women want to wear head ties, they want to have head coverings, they want to, do you know what I mean? They do it in the Islam faith. Do you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're coming into an environment and then you want to join a ministry. So for example, choir, let's say all the girls in the choir are wearing head wraps, right? If you're not wearing a head wrap, then you're going to be feeling some type of way like, oh my gosh, I got to wear a head wrap. Do you get what I'm saying, guys? Because you feel like you have to socially conform. And then if there's that narrative, and there is that narrative, because survivors have come forward and told me that women in the church cult are seen as more spiritual, more marriage material. Do you know what I mean? They're seen as, you know, like the real, you know, strong Christians of the house. And that's because they're wearing a head tie. So in these mega church cults, what's done is they have to package Christianity. They have to sell spirituality to us. Do you get what I mean? Because you can't see spirituality. It's not something that's tangible. So in these mega church cults, their businesses, their pyramid schemes. So they have to be able to sell it. They have to be able to package it. So what they're doing is they're packaging Christianity like a cheap McDonald's meal, to the point where people don't even want to associate themselves with the church or with Christianity, because it's a laughing joke. It's a laughing stock. Do you know what I mean? Like, I heard this pastor from, I think the church is called NGRM, formerly known as ELM. And she was preaching and endorsing Trump. Endorsing Trump, saying, oh, his advisor's Paula White. Oh, Paula White, who was having an affair with Benny Hinn, who was sleeping with Benny Hinn and papped in the Vatican. Yeah? It's just the whole mega church thing is just heretical. We call it a new religious movement. You know, Pentecostalism has only been around since the 19th century, and all of these offshoots of Christianity started in, I think it was called the Burn Over State District. Yes, in the US in the 16th century. So that's where we started to see the offshoots of the Jehovah Witness, Mormonism, which has led to Pentecostalism. It's all through the same offshoot. Yeah, but they come in with their fake false doctrines and enforce these on people to abuse them and to have power and control. And when you look at, you know, I'm going to do a video on the bite model, and that's based off Dr. Steve Hassan's work, and I'll also throw in a little bit more referencing the cult expert Dr. Yanya Lalage. And just quickly, if you're watching this video and you know, you don't know if your church is a cult, you're trying to figure it out, you want to leave, etc., please start with Steve Hassan and Yanya Lalage. There's loads of their resources on YouTube, and there's a brilliant book that Yanya Lalage has written called Take Your Power Back, and it's really good for building yourself up and deprogramming and deconstructing your faith. So anyway, guys, as I said, this is not going to be an edited video, so let's rewind back to when I was in the cult. So anyway, I've applied for X Factor around this time. So, you know, with X Factor, it's not like you just go on the show, you go through these different stages, like boot camp. We have to do these auditions in Arsenal Stadium. So there's a lot of kind of blank auditions. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, that the public don't see? So I got through applications of, like, it must have been hundreds of thousands to millions of people, do you know what I mean, applying for this. Anyway, I got through, I was put into a band. I went in as a single person, put into a band called Hope, and we did really well. We got to the final 5. This was back in 2007. Long story short, guys, it got to the point where we had a tour manager at the time, a really good one, and he was managing like Madonna, U2, you know, Pharrell back in the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, he had good artists, so he wanted to invest in us, start up an independent record label. Like, he was really for us. Do you get what I'm saying? He was our manager. So long story short, now as the time went on, I was becoming more heavily indoctrinated by the cult. Do you get what I'm saying? Because they wanted me in there to sing for them and use all my gifts for them, because that's all they do. They just rinse you dry and just exploit you of all your gifts and talents. It's spiritual prostitution. That's what it is. So so women, the ones that you think you were better off when you used to be in the clubs or had a boyfriend or whatever, and now you're in the cult, you're actually not, because these churches are clubs screaming the name of Jesus, yeah, and they just lie and they just rinse you out. Spiritual prostitution. So anyway, I was becoming more heavily indoctrinated, not wanting to wear certain outfits, and obviously, like, I'm in a pop group. Do you know what I mean? So I had a meeting with the manager, and he was basically like to me, oh, we're looking to get like a Calvin Klein deal, which might include you being in lingerie or in jeans, like, you know, covering your... And I was like, oh, I can't do that. That's not something that I'm going to do. Because, you know, you're so radicalized. I'm so radicalized by the cult at this point. So I left it. I gave up my dream. I thought I was giving up my dream to sing for God. I thought I was giving up my dream to save the world and save souls, because I was brainwashed. And guys, if you know how difficult it is to make it in industry and follow your dreams, any creatives that come across this YouTube, they stole my dream. They stole my dream. They ruined me. They absolutely ruined my life. And I don't know how this man's getting away with it, Dag Heward Mills, but everybody should stay away from this church cult. That cult took my 20s and my 30s. It took my whole life. And by the time I came back, guys, I was just radicalized. I was just going so hard because I didn't have a job. I was getting money from that as well. Do you know what I mean? So I left my employment, you lot. I was so radicalized to come in this little church. It was like, you know, them churches that are on top of a shop. It weren't on top of a shop, but I don't know how to explain it to you. It was just some hall, but at the top. And I was just singing in this little church, and I was just getting indoctrinated and brainwashed. And because I didn't have a job, I was there all the time. And I saw giving up my dream, you know, as a sacrifice for God. I saw it as I was being sold out for Jesus. And this was my time. This was a fresh start for me. This was a fresh start. I was getting I was having a second chance, you know. And I'd come from a Catholic background. I'd never been exposed to these chaotic Pentecostal, you know, high control groups. And the funny thing is, guys, when I first started going to the cult, yeah, my mum was like, Leah, what denomination is this? Because my mum had had really bad experiences with, you know, like the Pentecostal church. She likened it almost to like witchcraft. You get what I'm trying to say? She was like basically the dark side of witchcraft. And she was like basically saying that as a child, she had a lot of traumatic memories from just the evil and the wickedness of these people. So she said to me, like, Leah, if it's Pentecostal, like, just don't go there. So I was like, oh no, mum, don't worry, it's not Pentecostal. Because I had been told by the cult leader, HEWARD Mills, he was doing up that it was non-denominational, it was charismatic. So I was like, oh no, mum, it's charismatic, it's non-denominational. When I first started this church cult, yeah, I felt like I had found a new world. That's the only way to describe it. And guys, when you're in there, yeah, time literally stops. Like, there's no way for your soul to develop because you're around the same people day in, day out. The only time you're getting new communication or new interaction is when you're recruiting someone into the cult. But it's not authentic, it's not organic. So when you're forming new relationships, you're not forming new relationships with the view that, oh, I want to see if this person can be a friend. I want to see if I vibe with this person and let that friendship organically grow. Your whole mindset when you're a member of a cult and you're in a high control group is every interaction you have, you're thinking about recruiting that person to the cult. So you're not gaining any new friendships or any authentic friendships. Then you're bounded by choice to the friends you can have. So what happens is a lot of people in the cult, they wouldn't usually they're like chalk and cheese. They wouldn't mesh well. They indoctrinate us and use reverse psychology to be like, oh, you know, you're in the church and you're making friends with people that you never would have made friends with, and they break you down. So someone like me who's coming from like, you know, being exposed to gang culture, etc. as a child, I'll be thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I used to have gangbangers as friends, you know, all of these kind of like illegal whatever. And now I've got friends with doctors, lawyers, this and that in the cult. So they'll deceive you. They have to break you down. They have to break down any kind of ideology that you had of yourself that was positive before you came into the cult, because they need to entrap you to the self-sealing system. They need to brainwash you with their transcendent belief systems so that you will basically be brainwashed into thinking that you are nothing, and the cult has made you into everything that you are. So this is where a lot of people feel like they owe the cult, the church, their life. They make it synonymous with God. So there's no separation. So even when the pastors are corrupt and they're covering up abuse, like sexual abuse, rape, etc., they're like, oh, these are just, you know, things happen. The church is a hospital. There's a lot of different people that come in there. We are like a zoo. We are like a farm. There are a lot of, when are we going to stop just talking things into the air? And that's the problem with the mega church. They've just been talking. Someone needs new shoes on their foot, babe. They can't walk physically to get to church without getting the new shoe. You pastors are wearing your designer shoes, your $5,000 shoes, your 20 to 4 point whatever million watches. That's what's going on in the mega church world, yeah? But there's people who are struggling to pay their rent and they're coming in and giving their last. And this is why it's wrong. People are like, oh, don't make it about the money. The pastors can be rich to what detriment? Listen to me, yeah? Listen to me and listen to me well. If God gives me £1 million tomorrow, yeah? How am I going to sit on that £1 million and there's people struggling in my community, please? How am I going to sit on that £1 million? Where am I taking that £1 million to? All of these men are sitting on this wealth. You know, HEWARD Mills, the property portfolio that he has that I'm going to be exposing soon is absolutely crazy. This man is addicted. He has an obsession with buildings, just building empires. And a lot of these mega church cult leaders, they have this ego. Do you know what I mean? They're malignant narcissists, and malignant narcissists have sociopathic tendencies. Why do we call them malignant narcissists and just not narcissists? Because malignant, the word malignant, like if you say malignant cancer, it spreads ferociously and fast, yeah? And that's the same way that these cult leaders spread this false abusive doctrine. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to give like a little intro into the beginning. And guys, my videos are going to be all over the place. I thought about structuring this, doing it like this, doing that. I'm just not going to, because guess what? The journey's messy. When you're in a cult for 18 years and you wake up one day during the pandemic and come to the realization during the pandemic, you know, when we're going through an epidemic, and I didn't, you know, the feeling of fear that came over us was just absolutely crazy. And then I had the other layer of the fear and the manipulation that the cult leader was using to keep us gripped into this cult. Because during the pandemic, he felt like he was losing his empire. So he went into like a whole sociopathic like rant. Do you know what I mean? Where he was actually starting to out himself and say things like, this empire that I built will not be destroyed. And I'm thinking, wait, hold on. You've been telling us that this is not anyone's church, that this belongs to God. Like, you're just this humble servant. That's, and the narrative started to change. And then during the pandemic, it was just curses, curses, curses. Like from morning until night, guys, he completely took over our lives. The cult leader became omnipresent and he was just everywhere. Because what the pandemic allowed the cult leader to do was to be everywhere through the internet, through the guise of the internet. And when you look at the power control wheel, big up my ex-lecturer Tyrion Harvard. She developed the online abuse part of the will that was updated a few years back, and it talks about how predators use the internet to track their victims and to just be everywhere to the point where they feel like they have to answer them, pick up their calls, whatever, because then that later turns into punishment and abuse. And it was exactly the same method that was used during the pandemic. We had to give inordinate amounts of our time, guys, and it was like when I came to the realization that I was in this cult, and I'm going to give more of a detailed journey, guys, but I'm just going to let this river flow with what's coming up. But during the pandemic, guys, it was like they didn't care about the communities that the churches were in. They didn't care about us as individuals. They didn't care that people around us were getting unalived. They just wanted us to do up recruiting people online, because then it turned from, okay, you can't be in church in the physical, we're going to use the online space. And they didn't even check on us to see if we were okay. It was all about get the souls, do this online church. And guys, I'm not even joking. From Monday until Sunday, 7 days a week, we were doing something. There was some sort of book club based off the cult leaders' books. Oh yeah, that's a quick thing that I want to say. With this mega church cult that I was in, they don't let the pastors preach from the Bible. They have to preach from this cult leader's books, right? Because he basically doesn't trust the pastors. Yeah, he believes that everyone needs to be preaching the same thing at the same time. So it's just given, you see HEWARD Mill's so-called church and ministry, it's given textbook church cult. If any of you come across my video, you're going to be coming on here, you'll see the trolls defending their master, their God, because they can't just see a video with someone talking about Dag in a light that is not agreeable with them, because they've been totally radicalized and indoctrinated. So they'll come on and they'll troll the space and just do what they do best, act a fool. So yeah. So long story short, during the pandemic, it was like my man was doing up flow prayers. He's still doing flow prayers to this day. Go and check the receipts. After you watch my video, type in flow prayer, HEWARD Mills. You'll see what my man's doing up. He's dark. He's not a pastor. It's so evident now. You can see it. So during the pandemic, at the peak of it, guys, he was getting us up at 3 a.m. We had to, my sister and I were doing the online church. We had to recruit people, be messaging them. Guys, I didn't get any sleep in the pandemic. And the abuse that I endured through sleep deprivation, mind altering practices, and modern day slave labor being exploited through the internet. Yeah, I might as well have done OnlyFans at that point. Do you know what I mean? Or some sort of cam work. Because what I was doing up in the pandemic, I was working my socks off. And it will take me years and years to just get over that. And giving my body time to rest and recuperate from that time. So guys, I'm not going to lie, it was crazy. And I'm going to go more into depth, like kind of take you back in time as to why I felt I was susceptible to this type of high control group. Because as I said to you, I had exposure to CCE, so coercive control, manipulation, abuse, physical, psychological abuse. I was used to that. I thought that was love. I thought when someone loved me, they controlled me to say, you can't go out wearing that. You can't go out doing this. Because I never had a dad to do that. So when they were doing that up, when they were doing that up, when the guys I was dating was doing that with me, I felt loved. I felt like, oh my gosh, someone cares about me. But that's not care. That's control. Do you know what I mean, my queens? So when you come into these environments and they sell this spiritual father thing, really, really well. So in the mega church cults, the main things that they sell, I think there's 3 top things that they sell, which is their bread and butter and keeps these dangerous and abusive environments, perpetuating their rubbish. It's the marriages. So they think that fornication is an answer. Marriage is an answer to fornication. So all of the young people will be doing up, getting married at 22. They come out of uni, fresh out of uni, they're married, and he ships them off to the Anakazo Bible School, aka compound. So a lot of people are getting married young. They don't don't know who they are. They don't know themselves. They don't have money. So a lot of them are still living in their mother's council flat box room with their wives, and they're trying to do up getting pregnant as well. It doesn't make any sense. Then on top of that, they'll be getting these girls to marry these dusty men so young in their early 20s, and then shipping these men off to the missionaries and leaving the women to fend for themselves. So babe, in these mega church cults, you know, because they've got on a ring and they're saying they're married, it's all a facade, it's all lies. Yeah, they're duping us. So when you got on the ring and thinking, oh my gosh, there's so many married couples in it, but they're struggling. These single married wives, yeah, the women in the world that just have their boyfriend that they're judging them are better off than the single married wives, because they get treated like absolute slaves by the cult and by their husbands. Why? Because there's a patriarchal and misogynistic system that they have built in a pyramid scheme kind of format, and that's how they control everyone, by introducing these positions and ranks and titles to keep people trapped in the self-sealing system. Because if they don't introduce positions, titles and ranks, people are going to start questioning, like, where is the time going? Like, so you're on this rat race, and they're indoctrinating you to think that having the title of a pastor is the best, greatest calling, the great commission to go out into the world and save that. Do you see how they bring in these transcendent belief systems to get everyone, do you know what I mean, thinking like the cult leader, adopting his belief systems to be radicalized and to make absolutely everything about the cult. So you get trapped and you get stuck. So guys, this has been like my first official video on YouTube. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos for YouTube. So please do comment, encourage me, and comment, leave your comments. Tell me how you found this video. Did it help? I'm going to be doing a lot more content for YouTube. Also, if you're not following all my socials, please follow me on TikTok, Facebook and Insta. My name's Leah Lauder, Leahlauder, just like this YouTube channel. I go live on TikTok daily. So we have a community that I've formed. I've formed a community on TikTok, which is an online safe space for mega church cult survivors. It started off with me just going on there, speaking my truth, and just thinking that I just had survivors from First Love, the church cult I was in. But then as the time went on, I started getting survivors from Caris. Caris is a sister church. It's a big time cult. David Antry follows Dag like a hard follower. So if you're in Caris, please do leave. Do you know what I mean? Because then they're gonna ruin your life like they've ruined mine. Yeah, because those two church cults are very much connected. David Antry worships Dag like a god. So please come on, feel free to join us. We have really great lives. We just had our first protest the other day as well. Because guys, this work's been going on for some time. So YouTube, you're just going to get like a quick kind of fast forward, fast track video to keep you up to speed. We had our first protest on Saturday in Brixton in Windrush Square, where we came to say stop church abuse. It's the first protest that's ever been done of its kind, where we're saying stop church abuse in the mega church cults. And it was a great turnout. And we're just looking at driving this work forward. I want to let everybody know that, you know, these are very serious, you know, things that are happening in these mega church cult spaces. Everyone's talking about it at the moment. We know it's happening. We need to make a change. Yeah, we need to make a change in legislation, policy. We need to include people in trusted positions being accountable for coercive control and abuse. So once we can get that changed, then we can really look towards, you know, creating a new environment in these church spaces. Because I'm not against churches. I just want them to be safe. I want them to be safe. When my daughter goes to university, you know, in 8 years or 7 years, I want to feel like my child is safe on the university campus. I don't want to feel like there's all of these church cults that are going to try and indoctrinate my child, isolate them, take them away, have them brainwashed. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. So we need to make a change, guys. So please, we've got a petition up on change.org. It's called Stop Church Abuse. Please go on and check it out and sign for this petition, okay, guys, because we need your support. We need to get this petition heard in government. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my video. I'm going to be coming back for more, guys. I like YouTube. And also, let me know if you want me to do YouTube lives. If you've watched this video from beginning to end, please do subscribe, guys. This is a really good cause. I'm not doing this for myself. I form part of a collective of women who have been raped, sexually assaulted. There's a lot of grooming going on in the church of young women. I'm just trying to help people. I'm just trying to get the message out there, guys. Please share this video with all your friends, subscribe and support, okay? Because my heart is to make churches safe environments, yeah, where people can be free to worship their God. Because at the end of the day, guys, it's our freedom. It's our right. It's our human right to have, you know, safe places of worship. And that's just not the case at the moment. So I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to liken the state that we're in right now in Christendom within the mega church kind of space as it being a spiritual epidemic. Like we had the pandemic where we couldn't go out because there was, you know, the virus would just catch us. It's the same thing in these mega church cults. A majority of these pastors are malignant narcissists. They're out for themselves. It's all about their ego. It's all about money. Do you know what I mean? They're spreading a very false doctrine that is entrapping and enslaving the people. And then they don't have their own minds. It's like their soul has gone. That's why I know that if you watch this, if you haven't been affected directly, you've been affected indirectly. You've got a friend that's been brainwashed. They were normal, posting photos of their holiday, posting them in their little fits, snapping, whatever. Now, everything they post is about their pastor. It's the scriptures. It's they're in the car going to this camp. It's very hyper spiritual. And these are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. Hyper spirituality, spiritual psychosis. We need to talk about it because we need to be able to differentiate between the move and the whatever of the Holy Ghost and abuse. We need to be able to distinguish between he's been touched by the Holy Ghost, he's fallen out on the did he just hit his head and he's unconscious and now he can't move? Because that happened to me on lots of occasions. And survivors have said that because I've fallen out by the Holy Spirit, I've actually hit my head on the floor and been unconscious for about 10 minutes. And they've not had called any medical assistance. They've not done anything. This was in the 2000s. And I've had more reports from survivors as well that have medical health issues, severe ones at that, and no police, no ambulance service, nothing was called. Yeah, so they don't follow the same procedures and they're used to it because people are fainting, people are dropping out, people, you know, because we're under such high levels of just our body is pushed to the maximum, our mind, our physical body, that it's very normal for people to faint because they've been doing a week of, you know, all night choir rehearsals, and then we've got the pressure because the God is coming, Dagwood Mills. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to be there on time. We didn't eat. We were doing, you know, this was modern day slave labor. The choir rehearsals used to start at 6. They never used to finish until 6 a.m. the next morning, all night choir rehearsals. These are mind altering practices to get you to become sleep deprived and you're just completely running off no fuel. Yeah, so eventually your body is gonna, you know, shut down. I want to say to everybody that has left, especially the First Love Church, Mustard Seed Chapel International, Christ Cathedral, Lighthouse Chapel International, there's been a lot of unexplained deaths. You know, a lot of people have got the top illnesses in this mega church as we've started to speak to survivors and we've been doing a systematic review to look at the patterns, etc. What we found during that independent systematic review is that the top illnesses that people get when they're in the cult is cancer, kidney issues, adrenal problems. I will be talking about my long-term health issues that have happened as a result of me being in that cult, and I will be bringing receipts, a lot of receipts. Yeah, so it's cancer, it's high blood pressure, it's things to do with your adrenals, kidneys, always getting UTIs, always getting issues, always feeling tired, gut problems. That is all connected to stress. It's being in that fight or flight response for so long. It's neurological. It's all connected to the brain. The brain sends signals, do you know what I mean, to help the organs in the body. And unfortunately, when you're being indoctrinated, you know, everything's getting muddled up and you don't have, your body needs to rest, your body needs to recoup, you're just not getting that time. So please, if you watch this video and you've left the cult, please go and get a medical health check. Okay, get your bloods done. You need to see the functioning of you know, different organs, your bloods, how that's all doing, and let the doctor know that you were in a high control group so that they're aware, and then they can refer you to the necessary services. If you feel like you're struggling and you're in a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, you can go on the NHS service for mental health and you can get a referral. I'd also recommend private you know, counselling and therapy if you've got the money, if you can afford it. The website is BACP and you'll find all of the registered therapists on there. I also want to say that I've set up the Hill River Tree CIC. That's what I was getting to as a response to all of this that has been going on. And we're offering a program to support survivors post-cult exit. We're offering a support group. We're offering one-to-one intensive support. So please, if you feel like you want to reach out, we have a TikTok page, and it's called Surviving DHMM Support Group, Hill River Tree. So you can reach out to us on our TikTok page. There's the email addresses there. You just click on it, pop us an email and say that you're interested in the services, or pop us a message and we will send you a referral form and start to get the ball rolling with that. So guys, have a great day. Whatever you do, I always say treat yourself, because guys, you know, when I left the cult, I was almost a size 20. And there's nothing wrong with being a size 20. There's fluffy, beautiful, fluffy girls all over the world. They're repping it. But I've always been a very slim girl, you know, growing up. So I was using the food, do you know what I mean, as like for comfort and a codependent mechanism. And I was just completely destroyed because they were just breaking me down so much. And here I sit before you today, you know, as a survivor, you know, having leveled up, and now I'm speaking my truth and no one's going to silence me. And this is just the beginning, because I will be coming on YouTube a lot more because they've got a lot of things on YouTube. So have a great day, guys, and watch out for my next video.